Alright, I'm going to do a quick reading. I felt inspired because of the Lionsgate coming up tomorrow. The peak of it is tomorrow. So I'm using the Lantern Oracle and Osho Zen Tarot. And I might use some other decks, not sure, but so right off the back, just to start out here, we have the Eternal Gatekeeper. Every single card that I pulled came out in reverse. And then to further explain the Eternal Gatekeeper, we have Healing in the reverse, which is actually the King of Cups. So we have the King of Cups in reverse. And then we also have the King of Swords in reverse coming out, which in this deck says Control. And then I'm just going to go over these all here super quick, just so you can get a quick close-up here. And the next one is Wishful Expectations, again, in the reverse. And then we have Rebirth, which is the Ten of Swords in the reverse. So just to dive in here with the Eternal Gatekeeper, to read to you what it says here. It says, acknowledge, assert, and protect what is right for you. So with that being in the reverse, this is talking about people that are what I would call asleep. They are not really in tune with their heart energy. They are not in tune and in denial of, well, they're not in tune, so they don't even really hear the inside. All they focus on is the outside, what society and outside influences are doing, saying, and the happenings, and they're so consumed with everything that's going on outside of themselves that they neglect themselves completely, and therefore are completely lost, because the narrative that dictates their life is what the outside world says. So that immediately eliminates their sense of choice. They feel like they don't have any choices. They feel like the choices are being made for them. Let me just look at this card. They're stuck in fear. They're stuck in fear, afraid of being judged. If anyone were, well, never mind anyone outside of them, like they're so worried about what everyone else is thinking and doing, and about what people would say if they really knew the truth about them and their true thoughts, that they suppress it to the point that they pretend like the outside world and the narratives being put on to them by society is their truth. And because of this, any wounds that they have at this time are festering. They're not healing, and they're just gaping open, and they are poisoning themselves by not allowing light to come in. So if you see here, there's a light streak coming in. So it's in the reverse. It's like their light and life force is being took from them, and they're willingly giving it over because they have no will of their own. They've surrendered it all. This is talking about, so like here with Control in the reverse, you know, they feel like they don't have any control at all. So they're clinging to the past. They are clinging to anything that brings them some illusionary type of stability, because the past and the things that have happened to them, they already know, so that feels safe. So anything new and unknown feels reckless and dangerous. And that's mainly because they're not allowing themselves to heal. And then, and like in this card, the book talks about like it's so rigid and has like all these things around him which block the light from coming in. So with this being in the reverse, what I feel like this is saying, especially with the Lion's Gate, this is saying that the energies that are coming in from this Lion's Gate portal, the light, shall we say, is going to tear these people apart. It's going to make them feel like it's going to make them lose all hope. It's going to make their wounds and pain worse. But in essence, what it's like, it doesn't matter if you want to accept this energy that's coming or not, because it's going to affect you regardless. And because you're in denial of your truth, you're going to see it as a threat, because that's what you see, everything that's outside of you, and everything that's unknown. You're going to see it as your life is being flipped upside down, and it's absolutely hopeless, because there is absolutely no going back to the way things are, because that is the past. And I'm not even just talking about everything that's happening now. I am talking about everything that's happening now in our world, but generally speaking, the past is the past. The future is the future. Both of those things are ideas. They are not actually happening to you. And if you, in your mind, are constantly in the past, you're not in tuned or connected to where you are physically and what you're doing now. And you're not going to understand that this light coming in that you feel like is just tearing everything up, because it's making everything something that you've never even thought was possible. It's part of your awakening for those who are asleep. For those who are asleep, this transition that's coming in, and see the cycle's ending. See the wheel. This is a wheel, and this is a 10 of swords. Tens represent the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. This new cycle that's starting is going to feel like it's going to feel like an enemy. It's going to feel like you know, you're hopeless and there's no way, you don't know how to fix it, you don't know how to proceed. It's just not going to be a good time for those who are asleep. And again, I just this theme keeps coming up here with feminine energy. Both of these are kings, and they are both in the reverse. This is because feminine energy is talks about, you know, connecting with you know, your emotions, the things that may be hidden, not only around you but within you. You know, nature, just those are the things that's what the light is bringing to the surface. The light is bringing, you know, those wounds that are festering and just, you know, got all the pus. And the only way to get rid of stuff like that when you have a bad wound is, well, if it gets too bad and it gets in your blood, you're gonna die. But if you get to it before that happens, worst case scenario, you're losing a limb. Well, worst case scenario is death, but best case scenario is you have to cut out that infectious, necrotic flesh in order for the flesh that's alive to close and heal, and you have to keep it clean. So that's what's happening. That is not a fun experience. That is not fun at all. But in the end, you're going to be left with a lot of scars, but those scars are going to serve as a reminder for you not to allow that kind of mentality to fester in you like that, to eat you from the inside out. It's going to remind you to be true to yourself, to connect to your heart energy if you survive it. And of course, we're all immortal beings, and this life is a game, it's a journey. But, not every game is winners and losers. Some games, it's just, you do it for the experience. Like, the first thing that comes to mind is Minecraft. I don't know, like, a lot of people didn't get that game when it came out because it's like, what's the point? What is the point of this? There's no winning, there's no losing. Like, you can do missions, but who cares? There's no story, really. And a lot of people didn't get it, but you know what? The kids loved it. You know why the kids loved it? Because they are new, they are fresh, they aren't clinging to anything in their past because they don't have a past. They kids are generally more in tune with their feminine, let's say, aspects, your psychic abilities, nature, really just being connected to their truth, not caring what anyone thinks or says about them. So I might come back to that, and then the next card here, wishful expectations. We have acknowledge the smoke and mirrors in your life for what they are. So again, we're talking about the people that are asleep. They're in complete denial. Like, deep down, they know the truth, but they're not connecting with their self. They're so focused on everything outside of themselves that they completely deny what's going on within them. And they accept the narrative that's being put on them by society and all things outside of them as their truth. And it's a constant conflict within them, which is the reason why the wounds are festering, which is the reason why they can't heal. Because their true higher self, and we all have it, is speaking to them, and at this point is yelling at them, and they are like just cranking that music up on their headphones and humming and tapping their foot and closing their eyes and like, nope, no, just in complete and utter denial. And that's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting, and it's setting yourself up for failure. And this card, so it says rebirth, right? So they talk about in the book about how the camel here, if you can see the camel, that he looks like he thinks he's a mountain, but he's so worried about what other people think about him that he hides himself and tries to make himself something that he's not, so that he seems bigger and more important and better than what he is. But the truth is that he's not accepting himself for what he truly is. And then here it talks about the lion, saying that once you come to terms with that energy and you realize that you're trying to make yourself something that you're not in order to be accepted by everyone around you, you emerge from that and you remove yourself from the crowd, you stand alone, you roar, and you're not afraid to speak your truth and to strut your stuff. But as a stark contrast to the camel, who hides himself away and tries to be something that he's not, the lion is just like really in your face and really aggressive and just like, go ahead, try to come at me, bro, like that kind of energy. But the true transformation is this child. Again, we're talking, I mentioned children. This is somebody that's, pure and innocent and just completely in their truth. And that's really funny that I already said that with the Minecraft thing. And I really, and like he's just like playing his flute and just living his best life and just really being in the moment, living in the now, not worrying about what kind of persona he's putting off, not worrying about yelling his truth in people's face, not worrying about trying to be something so that it's more acceptable. He's just totally being himself and not really caring about anything except what he's doing right now. Again, this is in the reverse. What's at the top? The camel. Trying to be something that you're not, hiding yourself away, too worried about what everyone else is doing. But rest assured, it doesn't matter if you stay, if you're this camel or you're this lion, because these are both fluctuating states that are unbalanced and you can't stay in that state forever. You have to change. Change is absolutely inevitable. And that is the Lion Gates energy that's coming through. And again, cycles are coming to an end with this energy. Yes, the Lion's Gate comes every year, but this year's different. And I don't know why this just popped in my head, so I'm going to talk about it. But I was listening to channeling about how everything's inverted. So like how, like, see how all this is in the reverse. So like everything, especially with the narrative and things that are happening outside of us right now, everything is inverted. And the programming that we've had since children is inverted. The school, the way that the schools teach you to only speak when spoken and being a good consumer and staying in line, and then the history that they teach you isn't even the true history. They leave out what they want and then edit what they give you. There was a lot of talk in the past about, well, and still about the Mayan calendar and about how it was 2012. 2012 was the end of the Mayan calendar. But that was inverted as well. It's actually 2021 is what the calendar spoke of, and that's what's happening right now. Everything is inverted, and the wheel is turning, and this is the end of this cycle, and it's going to be made right. It's going to be in the upright, and that's what this Lion Gate energy is about. And I'll just use this deck. I was gonna grab another deck. Can you give me a final message for this reading, please? That is way too many cards. Exhaustion. And this card came in the upright, and it flopped itself right in the middle of these. So as I said before with this rebirth card here, that whether you're the lion or the camel, that you can't stay in that state, that it has to change. And the reason why you can't stay in that state is because it's imbalanced, and exhaustion is further explaining that. Look, it's like this machine thing, right, is trying to consume and essentially is consuming. Look, the person looks half dead and looks like it's in the mouth of some machine, right? This is Nine of Wands in a normal deck. This is all about like anxiety, feeling like the world's closing in on you, feeling like you don't have any choices, feeling like this is the end. And for some people it will be. Some people will not make it through this. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are dying everywhere. And I'm not just talking about, you know, the big scary C word. A lot of people a lot of people die every day. But Death is constantly on our mind. Our immortality is constantly being shoved down our throats, constantly reminding us how we need this, that, and the other to survive. And we need the people that are like this, that are like all consuming and in control of everything. We need them to protect us. We need them to save us. We need their medicine. We have to believe them, because clearly they did all this, so they know what they're talking about, and it is a lie. It is a lie, and that's what's being revealed by this energy. It is showing you the ugly truth of how everything is inverted, and those that are asleep are going to be, well, are, if not already, in for a rude awakening. And they're not going to find peace. They're going to find themselves slowly diminishing into a frail nothingness and being consumed by the outside world, because they refuse to find their truth. But I must say that in this card, this guy or girl looks like their skin is a little bit green and sickened, and they've got a green bandana and green patches. So when they're near the end, when they're to the point where they feel like they can't take anymore and they're just so exhausted, when they allow themselves to go within, because they're so exhausted that they can't worry about what's happening around them, they'll start to see their heart energy. They'll start to connect with that heart energy. And that may be their saving grace. This person is not dead. They're just exhausted. That is it's kind of a grim message. But I'm just gonna pull one more card. Let me see. Can you give me a little more information about this exhaustion with the final message? Suffice to say that those that are in touch with their heart energy, those who are not accepting the outside narrative as their narrative, if it doesn't speak to the truth within them, this light energy coming in, it is uplifting, it is wonderful, it's just exciting. You can just feel it in the air. It's literally magical. And those people, they can't wait to see what's going to unravel next, because in order for there to be a new, you have to just dismantle and get rid of all that festering pus and sickness that's been mouth fed to us since birth. Oh, look, the Fool. The start of a new journey. So there you go. Cycle ending, cycle starting, and the possibilities are absolutely limitless. And this goes for those who get to this point and start to really connect with so like this energy and this the complete destruction and dismantling of everything that's happening in our reality and our societies right now, of course, serves a purpose. And the purpose is for you to wake up. And the Fool seems like he's foolish because he's jumping off. It looks like he's falling off of a cliff, and he's got his head. It looks like he's trying to give flowers to somebody in the sky, right? So just a couple things to pay attention to. The dark and the light are joining together to become one. This is talking about balance. This is talking about acceptance. This is talking about not really giving a shit if everything around you tells you that if you jump off that cliff, you're going to fall. Because you're going to do you, no matter what the perceived consequences may be, because this is like a whole new reality, a whole new level, a whole new balance. And we can't really see the immediate ground where he may land. Literally right underneath this border, there might be ground there. But we can't see that. And if we are stuck in fear and live in fear, we'll just stay standing on that cliff and be like, oh, let me find another way around. And, then you get lost, or, whatever. Or, like, just make that leap. And that's part of what's happening with this energy. Those that are awake are already here. That's why there's so much excitement in the air, so much anticipation, so much wonder. So, like, you feel like you can fly. And I just noticed that the background here, it's dark and light coming together. Looks a lot like this, huh? Here, they're confined though. They're limited. They're boxed in. But they're starting to get it. But their trip, I mean, I don't know how they're going to get out of that, but they'd probably have to climb out of that and fight off this beast, maybe. Or maybe they climb out of it and nothing's going to happen. Same thing with this, They're wide open, and the possibilities are endless and limitless, and they're taking that leap. They're not waiting to see if it's safe to come out yet, if it's safe to do what they want, if it's safe to take that next step. They're just gonna do it. And that's what's coming for all of us, to be honest. It's just that right now, for those that are asleep, awakening is not a fun process. Awakening is hard, it is revealing, and it is humbling, and it takes you to your core, because it shakes up and destroys everything around you and outside of you that you're forced to do. You have to go with him, because it's the only place that you have left, and it's the place that you always have. And once you realize and make that connection with your inner self, your outer world reflects your inner world, and that you're no longer confined, you're no longer stuck. The options and possibilities are unlimited, and you can make and choose to do anything that you desire, because you're in the moment. You're not worried about the past. You're not worried about the future. You're worried about now. And with that, I bid you a wonderful day, and sending you love and light wherever you are on this beautiful planet. And know that through this process of ascension, no matter what your path is, you are never alone. There are always those around that exist within physical beings, as well as, God, or your higher self, or angels, or even aliens, like whatever, fairies, like whatever it is you believe. Don't ever feel like you're alone, because you're not. And even if this journey is hard for you right now, know that it can't stay that way, because if it's hard, then it's not balanced. If that's all it ever is hard, then it's not balanced. But once you get to the place of being balanced, ironically, well, we all have our days, but most of the time, it's always good. Find your center, find your peace, go out into nature, connect with things that you love, whatever it is. Find anything that brings you joy, and you want something to cling to that. Cling to that which brings you joy. Don't cling to the pain. Don't cling to the past. Don't worry about the future, because none of it's real anyway. The only thing that's real is right now. And thank you for stopping by my channel. Thank you so much for viewing my videos, and I really hope that you got something out of it. All right, see ya. Love ya.